They therefore tend to identify with the independent Caribbean in this area, despite the differences in political systems. The differences in political systems are in fact part of the overall dilemma of difference, which is a manifestation of the complex process of diversity, demanding of all in the region the capacity to build bridges not only between classes and races of people within countries of the region, but also between zones of former imperial influence among countries and between continents of the world, themselves represented in the region through centuries of migration and continuing interaction via tourism, commercial transactions, and professional contacts. The Caribbean itself, the expression of such diversity and of its survival and beyond, has struggled for all of 5 centuries with mastering the management of the complexity of such diversity. Such have been the phenomenon and challenges that today it is possible to say with a fair degree of certainty that we, especially among the countries of the English-speaking Commonwealth Caribbean, have learned somewhat to live together rather than simply side by side. In any case, the communications technology revolution and the tremendous improvement in travel facilities have dictated the urgent need for people to learn to live together, to deal with the dilemma of difference in ways that will serve the enhancement of the quality of life for human beings, and to ensure positive human development well into the 3rd millennium. My claim on behalf of the Caribbean may seem strange against the background of a failed attempt on the part of the Anglophone segment to federate some 5 decades ago, and the ongoing difficulties they have trying to achieve effective modalities of closer cooperation between people who have shared a common history of slavery, the plantation, colonialism, and its close relation, globalization, which I've often described as nothing but a new name for old obscenities. The important thing is that the fight has not been given up, no more than it was in Europe after centuries of similar failures. The region, at a subliminal level, understands and trades on the unity which underlies the differences. That unity is submarine, according to West Indian poet Kamal Rathway, himself a deeply textured Caribbean man. And in a region of limestone and volcanic rocks, separated by divisive seawater, one can understand the metaphor and grasp the difficulties of transforming the creative diversity of floating island spaces, colonial historical experiences and language differences into an integrated whole expressed in a common humanity. Admittedly, the eloquence of the differences is powerful. We continue to speak of a region of some 30 or more million people as Hispanic Caribbean, the Anglophone Caribbean, the Francophone Caribbean, the Dutch-speaking Caribbean, and so on, despite the sonority of such Creole languages as Tonga, Papiamento, Creole, and of course, Jamaica tone. The hyphenated fragmentation merely serves to emphasize the legacy of a heritage of separation and shattered identities. Yet, none of this deprived us in our separate dispensations of that awesome process of becoming. Our people were able to survive the traumas of separation from ancestral hearts as part of the transatlantic slave trade and the indignity of dehumanization in slavery for the vast majority by the exercise of their creative imagination. What results from this has been the germ of a culture which shares more in common than many like to believe. And as I said when I was entering, I was simply coming into another parish of the region. And this is clearly evident all over, from Paramaribo, Georgetown and Port of Spain, through Bridgetown and the countries of the OECS, to Kingston, Belize and Nassau. People's sense of self teeters in the ongoing quest for place and purpose, once denied the vast majority by slavery and indentureship, and continues today against a background of a corrupting persistence of the consequences of such a history of human degradation in the form of continuing immiseration and a threatening paralysis of the will. And I might throw out a little warning here: don't be taken too much by your current prosperity. Culture as a point of power, and the recognition of this by these Caribbean former colonies, have catapulted them into the 21st century precisely because they are in possession of that new sensibility forged over 500 years of encounters, making them fully au fait with relationships, with texture, with contradictions, with unity in diversity. Today, there are parts of the world, and especially of this hemisphere, that celebrate their newfound perception in something called multiculturalism. But this piece of jargon can be very misleading. The multi could well speak to a pluralism which secures for each ingredient in the mix an unassailable corner of exclusivity. So you stay in your small corner and I in mine. Instead, it is one of the surest ways of maintaining a status quo of gaping gulfs of difference between people whose forebears might have come from a variety of places, a situation in which the powerful remain powerful and the weak remain powerless. It is the insightful grasp of this phenomenon which no doubt drove Edward Clisson, the Martinican writer, to the view that the Caribbean has no myth of origin. It has instead a myth of relations. Such is the reality of the 21st century, which is already with us. As was the experience of all of the Americas, the world's inhabitants, certainly in the Western world, to begin with, must stand on seashores or on mountain tops, look across oceans and sing Goodbye Motherland, knowing that where one is, one must call home, as Letta Mbulu, the South African singer, belts out in Quincy Jones's musical score for the TV series Roots. This is the sort of challenge to the exaggerated claims made by this or that civilization or culture with respect to the greatness of their creative achievements over all others, especially over the formerly colonized and enslaved, but also over those who used to be regarded as the lesser races. Western Europe itself has had to abandon notions of having a hotline to God in the form of Judaism and the Christian religion, leaving all others as heathens. Ecumenism has virtually won the day, with Hinduism, Buddhism, and Islam being rated as major religious expressions, embracing the sympathy, faith, and formal allegiance of hundreds of millions of people on planet Earth, who are not likely to burn in hell for being pagans or for not being gods